The conclusion to the second season of Prime Video's biblical history drama series, House of David, is perhaps jam-packed with developments, seeming a little tight at times. The conclusion, which focuses on how David is accepted as the true king of Israel by various people who discover the truth, also addresses Saul's subsequent moral decline. In this video, we look at some key scenes from the House of David Season 2 finale, as well as speculate on the likely direction the series could go in Season 3, in light of the aforementioned incidents. In House of David Season 2 Episode 8, we finally get to see a moment that has been anticipated from the beginning of the series, and especially this season, as King Saul and Prophet Samuel grow apart from one another. While Samuel's departure from the capital city of Gibeah and the royal court hinted at internal conflict between the two men, his public defiance of the king at the tabernacle earlier this season proved the schism to the public. It was just a matter of time before the two men crossed paths again, and it was almost guaranteed that their argument would have been over David, given that he was the source of their disagreement. As a result, when Saul marches into Nob with his army to capture David and take him back to Gibeah, Samuel stops him and fights him alone, giving David and his faithful friends enough time to flee. Samuel, like before, does not need to fight physically because he can instill dread, turmoil, and even destruction in his opponent's minds merely by waving his hands, or rather, praying. He launches the most forceful and blistering attack on Saul, tormenting the king like he did in the first season, and captures him in an illusory realm similar to where he trapped Dog earlier in the season. This fictional or psychic region represents hell, to which both Dog and Saul deserve to be condemned due to their evil and selfish lives and decisions. Saul has not been a just and fair king since the beginning of the series, as he has always been preoccupied with his own position on the throne and has been willing to kill or attack anybody who stands in his way, including his own family members. However, once the psychological torture finishes and Saul regains consciousness, he refuses to give up and continues his mission to find and murder David. This truly signals a turning point in the king's life that will have long-term ramifications, as it demonstrates how Saul is now pushing himself to the limits of cruelty and vileness. He was previously plagued by remorse and an understandable dread of losing power, but he still had some morals left in him that held him in check. Meanwhile, Samuel exerts all of his power and life force to persuade Saul to see the visions of the heavenly message, and he dies at the conclusion of the season. Samuel's ultimate deed was not only to give his life to preserve the anointed King David, but also to try one last time to persuade his old friend and partner in arms Saul to understand the truth and accept his fate. After recovering from Samuel's psychological bewilderment and daze, Saul promptly orders his army to continue marching towards Nob, where they arrive at after dusk. When questioned, the city's head priest pretends as if he had no idea David was a fugitive or that he and the king had formed a strained relationship during the previous several hours. He does not, however, hide anything from Saul, because doing so would be defying the ruler of the land's orders, and so he admits to having handed David the amazing sword of Goliath, which had been in his possession since the giant was slain. Saul asks one final query about where David has gone, and when the priest is unable to provide a suitable response, he orders the entire city to be executed. When Doeg and his men happily carry out the king's orders to execute the priests, Saul does not stop them or question their violent nature even once, clearly showing how he is now morally corrupted beyond any recovery. As the conflict between King Saul and David escalates, King Achish of Gath, who had previously been keeping an eye on the giant slayer, receives a message concerning the situation. Achish always intended to assassinate David for defeating Goliath in battle and destroying the Philistines' hopes of triumph. The division among Saul's children becomes further clearer by the end of Season 2, as 3 of them opt to stay with their family, while the eldest chooses to assist David and forge his own route forward. Jonathan, the eldest of the lot, is the one who least wants to be king of Israel, and he is the only one who passionately believes in the ideals and qualities of justice and religion, at least among the 2 sons. Meanwhile, Merab fabricates the story that Michal was blackmailed by David into telling Saul the truth in order to shield her sister from their father's fury. The 2 girls remain faithful to their father and family, with Michal deciding to do so by leaving her beloved husband, with whom she had already experienced numerous disagreements. Eshbal is the polar opposite of Jonathan, since the youngest prince cares nothing about anyone but himself, and he continues to pretend to serve King Saul solely so that he may carry out his plot to completely ruin the family. In the House of David Season 2 finale, when the king of Edom finally appears, he is revealed to be the same king who formerly imprisoned Eshbal after being banished from Israel. Although the man and his hooded mercenaries had helped Eshbal survive, he appeared to have made a bargain with him to bring down Saul's home. Eshbal, who was extremely irritated and unhappy with his family, appeared to accept the agreement and agreed to hand over control of Gibeah to the king of Edom. And so the guy now appears at the royal court for the takeover. Finally, the finale of House of David Season 2 represents a significant shift in power in the kingdom of Israel, with Saul rapidly losing favor and support among his citizens and warriors, while more people begin to embrace David as the actual king. The allies David had earned within his unit clearly chose to support him in this unequal war, and Joab and Eliab brought their own soldiers to assist him. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.